always have a good hair day. We don't have coffee yet. We're making it still. So there's that. So, but I figured it'd take a minute for everybody to get in here. Always takes a minute for everybody to get in here. We shall see what happens. People in here, get this signed up. Here lately, YouTube has not been my friend. Must have said something. Must have said something that did not appease the Google gods. And we're back to this now. Let's see. And I'm sorry, people. Alright, let's switch accounts here, I guess. There it is. I don't know why it won't show up on my own feed. There it is. Alright. We got 10 people in here, so that's better than nothing. You should have coffee before hitting the live button. No! I'm multitasking, Mr. Best. And you, as an authority owner, should know the art of multitasking. It's got one of them little stopper things. It's pretty much ready. I hope everyone is well. Let's talk about ego. I've been listening to a book that would change a lot of your all's lives if you listen to it. This way. Hold on. Gee, Steve, we're being kind of annoying this morning. I know. But it gives everybody a chance to get here, because the way my analytics work, I don't get but 30 people in, but like till 2 years later instead of right off the bat. Mr. James Best, however, he gets 100 people at 4 in the morning because he is way more better looking than I am. So hats off to you, James. We've got our coffee now, James. You happy? All right. Let's see. We got other trucker James Best, Scott SRO Logistics, Grafton, Eddie Drotar, Right Lane, Robert Daniel, Something, Tolga, what's up? Grafton, Salty Pirate. Oh, trucks in the shop, Salty. So Salty, are you still with the same outfit? So you've been there for over a year now? Am I getting that correctly? And if so, answer me please, and then I'm going to make my comments on that. Do you live on the sun? It's dark here. No, this is called Yeast, little Viking coach. And what you don't realize is that when you go further east than Arizona, you'll realize that it gets light out earlier than good old California. So just so there you go. Wisconsin smells like poop. Right Lane, I noticed that yesterday. I think they're spraying the fertilizer. I think that's what they're doing. At first I thought, man, sitting there driving along with my fresh air circulating, and I had to turn that button off. So what you do is that circulation button, put that on cab circulation, that'll kind of get rid of that smell. But no, that's they must be spraying fertilizer in the fields. TJ is in the house. Thomas Wilson, good morning. Let's see. 0430, so TJ gets the whole California thing, right? Charles Brandt, good morning. Everybody saying good morning to each other. A very polite group that we have here. And then we'll get into... Okay, so, Salty, I'm going to point something out, and I don't want you to take this a bad way, because you and I have had some heart-to-hearts, and we've helped each other, okay? I hope, I'm assuming that things are going very well for you, both up here and financially. And I want to credit that to the fact that you've stayed at one place for a while. You got some consistency. I was talking to another friend of mine who, if he wants to make his announcement here, he can. But when you stay somewhere for a while and try to make that work, that gives you consistency, and that's kind of good segue of what we're going to talk about. Chucky's in the house. Marty says he's egoless. We can start now. Yep, Charles, you haven't missed anything yet. We're still doing shout outs and good mornings. Thor, good morning. All right, so now that we got the civil, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm kind of an idiot. Never mind. Now we've got all the good mornings out of the way. Your package is on the way. Something made me think of that, Thor, that it's like, you know what, Thor was supposed to send me a package, which I have no idea. I mean, it could be anything. But, I was like, what if he changed his mind, or, I have a porch pirate or something, All right, so let's talk about something. Ego. How easily bruised is your ego? Thank you, Charles. I appreciate that. Charles is always so generous. I talked to Charles on the phone. He's a very kind person, and I'm happy to have him in my little circle there. Now we can start. You got your coffee. Good deal. Let's see. Look at Thomas trying to get trying to recruit like trucking guys right on my channel. That's some bold. That's an ego. That's bold. That's bold. Loyalty, not locally. Snorelord's roadies in the house. Loyalty runs deep. It does. I do have some loyal people. As a band, you rely on that. Back in the day, you don't really have it as much now, but back in the day, you had what they call street team. And what these people would do is they would be very happy to send out flyers and pass out flyers and promote your show that was coming up, just because they loved you as a band, not because you paid them. And a lot of times, some of the perks were, they got in free to the shows and all that. And the bands that had the bigger ego, they tend not to do that once they got to a certain level, and then they wonder why nobody was going to their shows anymore. Or they would bring their crowd with them, and they were the opener band, and then their crowd would leave after they were done, regardless of who was playing after them. And that was bad form. It's like, if you were a band and you brought a big crowd, which was the reason why you got the opening gig anyways, because your crowd was a draw. You had a draw. And then you took that crowd with you. Well, bands didn't want you to come back anymore because it was like, wait a minute, because a lot of these bands would literally like play their last song, get on the microphone, all right, man, party in my house, yeah, and then like, what the hell? So, and then after a while, they get such their crowd that follows them like a buzz. Well, after a while, people just get sick of you. People stop going to your own shows, and now you're not an asset to the show. And because if your crowd does stay, there's not many, but if they don't stay, they leave when you're done. I mean, yeah, they paid to get in the door, but as a live musician, you want to have that feedback. You don't want to sit there for a room full of people, or a room without people. You might as well have band practice at that point. Smash the ego daily. Yes, little Viking coach. They should pay Thomas's recruiter. Thomas does a good job. There's another person I know that just went over there, and I'm very happy that he went over there. And so Thomas, I meant to tell you that I know about that. So it was revealed to me by said person. Anyways, enough of that. So here's where ego damages you. If in order to keep moving forward, you have to keep learning. There's nobody out here in the world, not just in trucking, there's nobody out here in the world that knows everything. There just isn't. Even the Buddhist guru monks, that you see on YouTube or whatever, they don't know everything. One of the biggest damaging things that affect CEOs and ministers of big churches and politicians is ego, because they surround themselves with yes men and they think that they know it all or seen it all, and so therefore they can't learn anymore. And you always hear, in the trucking circuit, you always hear, well, the minute that you stop learning every day is when you need to hang the keys up. And that's absolutely true. Like how my voice changed. Wasn't that interesting? That is true, because once you think you know it all, your mind stops learning. When your mind stops learning, you depreciate. Your brain starts to die. Because, and I'll use the band thing as an example. So you'd have these bands that would play locally in Springfield, and they would do really good. They could get 1,000 people by themselves. I mean, they did really good, right? But then they go outside of Springfield. Let's say they go, oh, we're going to go on tour, and so they found 5 promoters within a week, to play their shows, and then they go play out of town, which they don't have their street team, they don't have their network, they don't have their friends, and so they don't have their local band politics, right? And then the shows would flop because either, it was a bad promoter or honestly their music sucked. And then they would come back just completely devastated, like, oh man, we tried to tour and it was horrible. You know what? Or the opposite would happen, where they would do really good, they would get a good response, and then when they came back, man, it couldn't fit their heads through the door. Oh, we're a special kind of rock star now, and then they became difficult to work with on that end. So it's I've seen ego destroy businesses, I've seen ego destroy bands, I've seen ego destroy our country, okay? And with social media kind of injecting its you know, steroid or whatever, you know, it makes it even easier to be egotistical, because you know, like take someone like me, for example. I have, what, 3,800 subscribers, and you know, that's way more than the band ever got. You know, that's way more than reaction than the band ever got on a national level. I mean, we've sold music around the world, and we've gotten our little niche kind of, you know, done well there, but we never hit it big. We never were offered a tour, you know. And so I learned early in my band career, when my first band was kind of crap, and we thought we were the shiznit, you know, that ego blinds you. And it's in this book that I'm listening to, talks about that. The book is Sovereignty by Ryan Michler. And there's a lot of harsh realities that you have to face. In order to gain strength, you have to know what your weaknesses are. In order to know what your weaknesses are, you have to admit to them. You have to be honest with yourself. And a lot of people, especially in this internet day and age, aren't willing to do that. You know, if you guys on TikTok, and you guys are on, you know, you see the reels on YouTube, and the stories on Facebook, and the story/reel, whatever, shorts on YouTube. It's like a condensed version of the internet. It's like a condensed version of your newsfeed. All of a sudden, you're seeing 30-second videos that are supposed to just get you right there. So, boom, 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 boom. It's kind of like, you know, the can of concentrated orange juice. You know, instead of making it into orange juice, you're just like eating it with a spoon. You know, and that's what that feels like to me. That's why I won't get on TikTok, because it seems like a very addictive aspect to it. You know, when I do watch like the reels on YouTube or on Instagram, then I have to put the phone down. But ego is a big part of that. You know, it's all about reactions. It's all about how many likes you can get. It's all, you know, for some people that want to ruffle feathers, it's all on how many thumbs down they get. They thrive on that. And that feeds ego. Oh, this guy just kind of stormed in angrily. In the truck stop. I got the truck stop in front of me. But anyways, he left the door open, he walked in, he was mad, so I don't know what's going on there. So, but when you have an ego, you stop learning. You stop learning, you stop evolving, you stop going forward. And how many of you know, like, some jaded old truck drivers that have been out here too long, that you can't tell them anything? You know, and they have a crappy attitude. Where I've ran into veteran truck drivers that have been out here 30, 40 years that are willing to help and understand that even they can be stumped sometimes. Even they will have a backing situation that's unique, or even they will have a load that they've never done before, or, you know, and that kind of thing. And so when you have an ego, you close your mind. When you close your mind, that's when everything in your life starts to falter. You know, it's and because sometimes you could be running a business and think that you've got it all figured out, and then someone goes, well, hey, you know what, here's this new thing I tried, try this. And you're like, you don't know what you're talking about, screw you, I've got this figured out because I've been successful, go away. And because it's a blow to your ego. It's a blow to your ego to sit there and say, man, I've never seen that before, I don't know anything about that, how can I learn? You know, that kind of thing. And It takes a certain amount of humility to do that. And that's tough. It's tough to be honest with yourself. We have trouble being honest with other people. You know, how many times have you guys seen YouTubers in any genre, not just in our genre, that weren't forthcoming in their information, or they weren't telling you everything, or they sit there and claim something that, you know, later on you found out to be not true? How many times does that happen? So so it's tough to be honest in general for a lot of people, but it's even tougher to be honest to yourself. You know, so it's you got to kill the ego. That's just it. Because, you know, a good example is, again, I'll go back to the music scene in Springfield. There are some really, really, really good musicians in my town that have every right to be ego. They have every right to be ego, but they're not. You know, there's a guy that's like one of the most amazing guitar players in you know, in general. I mean, he's really good. Who once told me that he respected me as a musician, and he told me why. And I thought, man, I figured somebody like on your level would think that I'm not worthy of any kind of praise. He's like, no. And he kind of explained a few things. He's now, mind you, he's got pride. That's the other thing. So pride and confidence and ego are kind of the you know, the same beast, right? And that's the thing. People don't know how to differentiate between the three. Taking pride in your work is good, because it makes you strive to do the best. Ego means that you think it's good regardless if it really is or not. And confidence is if you do something and you took pride in it and someone makes fun of it or someone tears it down, confidence says you don't need that praise. Confidence is like, look, I know I did a good job. And, oh, well, you don't like it? Okay, well, whatever. And that's what confidence is. Confidence is the ability to see your good work and not let others destroy it. Ego is kind of a self-defense mechanism. How dare someone criticize the way I did that? Man, that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. That guy hasn't done the things that I've done. That guy, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And that's where trolls come in. Trolls are able to kind of infiltrate in that weakness. You know, that you know, so ego is almost like a defense mechanism for you not being honest about your own faults. If that offends you, then I'm sorry. Because that's what YouTube's for, is for offending. We always gotta offend. And it goes back to, okay, so let's look at the society we live in right now. Everybody's offended. Everybody's offended. Everybody's egos are so fragile, you know? I can't criticize someone on YouTube without being attacked. I can't criticize someone on Facebook without being attacked. You know, the whole country's gone nuts because no one wants to be offended. Don't leave us out of your little club and look, he called me a name and all this stuff. You know, and you got to look at what the cancel culture has done to this country. And that's social media driven, but that's human nature as well. What drives social media? Human nature. And social media tugs on your heartstrings, and it tugs on your ego, and it tugs on your fears, it tugs on your anxiety, it manipulates you. And so if you're easily offended, if you're easily, you know, angered, if you're easily thrown into tears by watching sad things, if you're easily reactive, you are exactly the perfect target. That was kind of redundant statement. You are the perfect target to manipulate. And that's why this country is where it's at right now, is because we're all so easily manipulated through fear, anxiety, sadness, happiness, and ego. That's the number one. Let's get our glasses on here. Getting old. Ego is not only thinking highly of yourself, but thinking only of yourself. Yes, Little Viking Coach. Little Viking Coach gets it. Let's see. I thought you didn't want feedback as a musician. As a metal musician, yeah, feedback's great. There's two kinds of feedback in the musician world. And there's one that's natural and then one that's caused by, doing stupid things like putting a microphone up to a speaker. Nailed it. What's up? Great Freight Sage Logic. Next gen. Let's see. They forget where they came from and what got them to the top. Yes, forgetting your roots is one of the most common causes of ego. Shadow Wolf, Pigtail, Eddie. Did you get my comment on your last feed that the wife and I audioed Sovereignty together? Granted, it was pointed to Minmore. No, TJ, but my YouTube notifications haven't been coming through very well. But did you guys enjoy that book? I mean, I'm buying the physical copy, and I told my wife, I said, it's a good, there's some good information whether you're a man or not. I mean, it's geared for men, but it's not information that's only exclusive to men. Is when he talks about the generalities of ego and pride and just kind of don't be a victim kind of mentality, it could apply to anybody. Your mind is like a parachute and it only works when it's open. That's a fact I know. Damn, I couldn't get in the truck hole yesterday. That was crazy. I worked up a sweat doing it. I'd be humble. That's all it takes. That's a fact. Shadow Wolf. Shadow Wolf is one of these old schools that hasn't been jaded by the industry. He's always welcoming new drivers with open arms and trying to get them to listen, and when someone like Shadow Wolf talks, you need to listen when he's giving you true life experience when it comes to the trucking industry. My wife calls me names every day without I don't feel complete. Without I don't feel complete. Spectre, what's up? What up from Alaska? Deadhead at 365 miles. A little salty this morning. You're in Alaska and you only deadhead at 365 miles? It's actually pretty good, Team Tiny. Dutch says ego always gets you in the end. It will prevent you from asking advice and help when you need it. But not only that, but Arkansas, okay. That makes more sense. Because if you do load up to Anchorage, you're deadheading about 2,000 miles to get a load out. Yeah, Eddie, hit me up later. Get my number from Best, whoever. Sorry, Arkansas. I had to do my physical in Maine one time, and there was a 10-minute discussion about all the M states abbreviations, because first they put me as Maine, and then they put me as Mississippi, and I told them, I said, look, I live in Missouri. This needs to say M-O, not M-E, not M-I, not M-S. I can get the confusion, but yeah. So the same thing happened. AZ is the only one that's obvious because of Arizona, but Alaska and Arkansas, you know, that's the thing. Bob G, yo, what's up? And so while listening to this book, you know, sometimes you got to have a day where you don't answer the phone and just listen to something positive, not like life is grand, everything is good, but like something that helps you excel your momentum forward, you know, something that gives you confidence, something that really allows you to self-evaluate. And that's what this book has done for me. It's you know, because I'm willing to be honest to myself and know what my weaknesses are. I'm willing to be honest and see what mistakes I've made in my past. And that's a hard part, because a lot of people beat themselves up for the past, you know, and you can't do that. You learn from it, and then you have to go forward. Because if you keep beating yourself up from the past, you're never going to be able to look to your future. And, you know, it's kind of like, how many times have you guys watched a football game or a basketball game or any sports event where the team was down, you know, so many points, and in the last quarter they just kind of, you know, won. You know, and so if they, you know, that's like, okay, yeah, we made that mistake. We let, you know, we had 3 interceptions and 2 fumbles, and, you know, but we can recover from that. And then they do, and then they win the game. It makes for an exciting game, right? Well, I mean, life is like that. You're gonna have mistakes. You're even gonna have mistakes that might cost somebody's well-being or life, you know. And as long as it didn't take your life, that gives you a chance to either remedy that or move on from that, you know. And you don't realize how precious time is until it's taken away from you. And, you know, even like I look back at like when my leg was busted, right? I sat at home for a month. What did I do that was productive during that time? Hardly anything. Not anything that I can remember. And like, well, Steve, your leg was busted. You couldn't really move. Yeah, that's true, but I didn't do anything with my mind. I didn't do any research. I didn't do any reading. I didn't do any, you know, self-education. I didn't do things that I could have done around the house. You know, and I used the excuse, well, my leg's busted, so I don't want to be moving around the house and making it worse because I need to get back to work, And at one point, you know, the mats was going on and all the light guys were having fun and being bought dinner at Guy Ferrari's and you know, and I felt alone, you know, and so now I'm in this pity party and this sucks, and, you know, and I could have stayed there. I could have dwelled there. Eventually I would get over that. And then it was that following July that I something snapped, and I changed my eating, and that's when my health journey started, like kicked into high gear, and that's a big aspect. So if you're trying to defeat, you know, any addiction, whether it be food, alcohol, drugs, whatever, being able to admit that there's a problem and evaluate why there's a problem is requires honesty to yourself. And once you're honest of why you do the bad things that you do, then you can move forward. Then you can go, okay, well, how do I stop this? You could sit there and dwell in the past, but it won't get you out of that funk. It won't get you out of that rut. And if you've got a victim mentality and you dwell on the past, Or if your ego is so inflated that, well, that's impossible. There's no way that I'm feeling bad about that because I'm over that, you know? And because I've talked to people that said, well, you know, what's bothering you? I've asked them, what's bothering you? Why do you do the things that you do? Well, you know, I had this, but I'm over that, you know, and I'm like, well, obviously you're not. You're not over that. Obviously there's something affecting you deep down inside your conscience that is not allowing you, and ego is a protective force of that. Ego is a protective force of, it's a reaction to not being honest with yourself. It's the mind's way of protecting itself from harm or hurt. And so it's easy to get in that trap. Quick hit, Truck for Life. Not MD either, right? Brian Ludwig. Nothing Witty's in the house. 8 a.m. I guess it's safe to start the mower without pissing neighbor off. Eddie, you know what? My truck sits at the home. Of course, this APU goes off. Sounds like a lawnmower. And it'll go off different times of the night. When we were in that sub-zero frigid Alaska temperature in February, I ran the APU 36 hours straight to kind of keep things warm. And I've talked to the neighbors and they're like, yeah, that's fine, we don't care. Ego, no. Confident, yes. And so Provost brings up a good point. Good morning, Provost. There's a difference between confidence and ego. You can be confident. Confidence is like, okay, I can do this. And then if someone says, no, you can't, you just kind of ignore them. Confidence is the ability to be content with what you're doing without, well, no, that doesn't, that erase that. Confidence can turn into ego pretty easily, but you keep it at bay. Confidence is something like, yes, I can do that. And ego is like, of course I can do that, without knowing if you could or not. There's a difference. And confidence is like, I'm gonna try, I think I can do this, you know, but I need to learn, you know, like I'm gonna learn something I don't know how to do. So if I do that and do that, then I think I can do this. And that's where confidence comes in. The Viking coach got Lego jokes. Jesse, good morning. Just noticed Indiana Jack has a new YouTube channel. Ask a trucking recruiter. I guess he has a new position at the company. Huh. Eddie, have a good day. Don't chop your hand off with the lawnmower. Having a bulletproof vest on the truck, is that ego? Marty, that's, I don't know what that is. That's not ego. If you're decab gear jammer, if you're really confident, you just do or learn to do it. No need for bragging. That's ego. There you go. That's a good. You know, TJ says no, Marty, that's prepared. I don't think we're at that level yet, guys, but I mean, you know, bulletproof vest only covers one part of the body. So I have this idea of trying not to put myself in situations where I could be shot at. There's that. So if you're in Minnesota, I think it's a requirement. I flirted with Minnesota a little bit yesterday or Saturday, but just up 35 up to Des Moines. You know, well, no, that's not right. Geography's hard. Yeah, man, I'm screwing up here. Yeah, I went up to Minnesota from Albert Lee, 90 across, not 80, and then went over to Wisconsin. Pretty drive. I forgot how pretty it is up there. You know, of course, it is April, so it's not like February. I might have a different story, but I forgot how pretty it was in Wisconsin. I used to go to Menominee all the time. Pick up, deliver at that Target. No, there's a Walmart in Menominee, and then I would deliver there, and then I would pick up water out of Chippewa Falls. You have Yugo. But you know, that's just my thought. Kill the ego, and because in the grand scheme of things, you know, it's kind of like the music scene thing again. You have these guys that literally thought that they were rock stars, that literally thought that everything had to be handed to them, and then when they got out of Springfield, they realized that they were just another garage band playing a different stage, and so their music had to speak for them. You know, nowadays you can manipulate social media to make you a bigger deal than you actually are, versus just locally. So that element in the music scene has changed. You know, now they call us YouTubers influencers. They call the people with the big Instagram accounts and the big Twitter accounts and the big YouTube accounts influencers. They're literally using that term now. So we're going to manipulate the influencers by having you know, sell products for us, and you know, and it's hard to find genuine like reviews now. Like, you know, I did the review on the Strikeman laser system. I bought that, you know, I didn't have to do that. I just thought it would be an interesting video that was a little bit different than what I did. Maybe that's what hurt my analytics too, but I noticed another YouTuber I followed did a similar review on that, and I kind of wondered, did he buy that, or is he being endorsed by that? You know, because there are some issues with that system that I've noticed. It's nothing big. I mean, I'd still recommend it, but you know, and so all it takes is for that company to watch my video and go, oh man, you did a really good job. We wish for you to do more for us. And so now, like, there's this prepared guy that has turned into a flashlight salesman. You know, he's talking about the O-Light. And he used to have really good information, but then he put it all on Patreon, and then the only thing he pretty much puts on YouTube is fear. Oh, and by the way, buy this product I endorse, because of that fear. And so being an influencer is a dangerous ground. And so if you don't have your ego in check, that could really kind of, you know, there's another YouTuber that was doing really great small parodies that has started doing nothing but live feeds, and so now his message goes from, you kind of have to figure it out, to now he's telling you blunt straight to the face. And I imagine it might be killing his analytics because of his language, but also you get addicted to the live rush. You get addicted to, you know, seeing that number in the little left-hand corner of your phone or your device while you're live. You get addicted to that number. And that's what happens with these bands. You know, they get, you know, first show they get 50 people in, second show they get 100. Within a year they've got, you know, 600 people at their show. That inflates the ego. If you don't keep that in check, that will inflate your ego. And one of the things that the local promoters liked about Apnea was that we didn't have an ego, we had confidence. We got up there, and regardless of what the sound man's abilities were, we can make it work. And that was the sense of confidence. We just got up there, and like, people's like, oh, what was it like to open up for a big band like Lamb of God? Oh my gosh. I said, we just got up there and pretended that we were supposed to be there. You know, it was confidence. Because, when a band goes up there and they're not confident and they're like, oh, we kind of suck, but here's their song, people are turned off by that, and then there were people that come up to us and say, man, you guys are awesome. And then, some musicians are like, well, we suck. You don't, man, we messed up so much. And a normal person doesn't hear all that. They came and took time out of their little party to come up to you and tell you a compliment, and you're going to sit there and call them an idiot in not so many words because you don't have any confidence. So and there's a fine line, and most people can't differentiate the line between confidence and ego. I don't know any driver that's going around with a bulletproof vest yet. Now, there's a backpack that kind of acts like a bulletproof vest. It's got a shield on it or something. I've seen that, but my first car was a Bone Shaker top car from Communist Yugoslavia. Try not to connect your ego or self-image to your profession, because if that goes away, what do you have left? Little Vine Coach, that's a very good point. That's what a lot of NFL players deal with. That's what a lot of sports celebrities deal with. When they stop playing football, everybody forgets your name, and so that really affects you. I mean, how many, I was thinking about this, my YouTube channel. It's like, well, what's going to happen if I ever get off the road? Are people still going to watch me? Will I have anything to say? Look at Indiana Jack, for example. He had a genuine, really good trucking channel, and then once he got off the road, it turned into a couple other little things, and then now he's not even doing it in the same capacity. Now he's an influencer. Now his job is recruiting, and so if his ego was tied to his channel, if he has an ego, I've met him. He doesn't seem like an egotistical guy, but if there is an ego there, it's probably taking a hit because he's not doing what he built his channel off of. I hate when musicians do that. Just grow up and learn to take a compliment for pity's sake. Yep. 70 HP air-cooled engine. Oh, we talk about the Yugo. Doge to the moon. So, anyways, I would like to learn more about the Dogecoin stuff, and so if anybody wants to reach out to me, I'd greatly appreciate it. But that's all I got for today. So, any comments, questions, concerns, we'll address them here, and then we'll keep this video under an hour. So. All of a sudden it's quiet. Chirp, 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 chirp. You guys are just in awe of my awesomeness. so you have either that, or I covered the topic so well that you guys are like, yeah, now we're good. We're just watching you drink coffee and we're gonna make random comments. You have a question on brokers, Truck for Life, go for it. Let's do this. You could do morning coffee from the house. Day cab, I mean, I have, and it doesn't do much worse than if I'm in the truck, other than people like, why aren't you working? But I don't, look, I know why my YouTube doesn't get bigger and better. It's because I have not learned how to really mess with the analytics. There's a few steps that I know I need to make that I know will take me to the next level. There's a person I need to contact that I know will help me get to that next level. But at this time, I know that would create a little bit of different thinking, and I'm not ready to do that because of other things going on in my life. And it's kind of a future leverage for something that I'm working on for the future. So I know that's very, very vague, and I hate vague, but I think I know what's going to take me to the another level, and I'm just waiting for the right time to do that, I guess is the best way to do that. I had a load that paid $4,500, then they pulled it and then put it back on at $3,000. Is that normal? Yes and no. It's not. Yes, it kind of is normal in a way, but it's bad business. So when you see a broker that does that, now on the Landstar board, that could be a little bit different. So Landstar, maybe the agent posted it for $4,500 and realized that they can't do it for that. Because what a lot of people don't realize is that there are agents at Landstar that they will put the 30-day average or the 15-day average on the Landstar load board for that particular load. And they'll find out from that broker if it can be co-brokered. And if it can, then they'll post it. And so, Truck for Life, Triple T, Jim, how many times have you called on a load and they said, well, let me see if it's still available, and then 15 minutes later you get a phone call saying no, it's gone? Or, yeah, it's available, but it can't be done for that price. It needs to be done for this price. How many times does that happen? That's what's going on in the Landstar world. Now in the broker world, what happens is there are brokers that will find a cheaper truck if they have time to do it. So, or the customer that the broker's working for says, you need to try to move it for this. And so that happens a lot in our world too. Not to the point that it's going to happen to you eventually out here, but in Landstar it's a little bit of a different beast, and I'm going to confidently say that's probably what happened in that. He gave it to me with a Raycon, then pulled it from me. So yeah, that tends to happen. Go to Swan Bitcoin exchange dollar cost average weekly. Michael Page, good morning. What are the fees at Like Trucking? Michael Page, if you need a trailer, there's a fee for that, and that varies anywhere from $30 to $50 a day. If you don't need a trailer, then the only fees that are coming out is if you get your insurance through us. If you get your occupational insurance, Jeff requires you to have occupational insurance either on yourself or he develops that policy. But it's very inexpensive through us. But it varies with each person, I believe. I think I wish Jeff was here to kind of answer that question. But if you don't get insurance through us and you already have your own occupational and you already have your own trailer, then the only thing that's charged is your IFTA, and your IFTA quarterly if you owe, and then your KYU if you owe, and that's it. There's no fixed cost unless you use our insurance. So there's that. Payrider TV's in the house. Haggy, the magic begins with hashtag. Are you talking about the analytics there, Haggy? That I believe that. So that was one of the Truck for Life. What I explained to you, that was one of the frustrations I had when I was over there at Landstar. And when the market becomes crap in the spot world, it trickles down the Landstar. There's a delayed reaction, and then eventually you see a lot of that. I can't tell you how many times I'm trying to book a load the same day, and it took me all day, and then I finally find the load, and then the load ahead I was able to book that a lot easier, but then a lot of times it was taken away. So that cutthroat agent platform absolutely sucks. Whereas in the broker world, if you get a rate comp for something and then it gets reposted for a different rate and they take you off the load, that's bad business. And you can report those people. You can report those brokers that do that and put them on your do not haul list, because there's 1,000 more brokers you can work with. Whereas Landstar, corporate has been addressed that problem over and over and over, and they do nothing about it. Absolutely nothing about it. Especially if it's a multi-million-dollar agent, those guys will walk all over you and they can get away with it. That's fact. That is why I'm no longer at Landstar. Be like, well, you couldn't make it work. You didn't know what you were doing. No, I knew what I was doing. However, I knew enough that I had to get out of that situation, because that situation did not work for me. So there's that. By the way, I think we got 1 or 2 spots available if any of you Landstar guys want to come over here. So we are almost to an hour, guys. 4 more minutes. Unless you create a new conversation, we're going to be done with this. I actually gotta work. I just don't like how they tell me I have to pull Hazmat. Well, you don't have to pull it, you just have to have it. But Truck for Life, mark my words, when the market goes down, and it will go down, that Hazmat might be the only thing that keeps you in business. That's what it was for me. Because there's a lot of drivers at Landstar that don't want to do Hazmat. And so when you're in an area, you become a little bit more higher, you become you get better contacts. And so there were Hazmat based agents that would call me out, hey, you in Ohio, I got some fireworks, or hey, you in Houston, I got some chemicals. There's a lot of chemicals that come out of the Houston area, and if I came across a Landstar trailer that had E-tracks, that was like gold, because those trailers you can really fine tune, because Hazmat requires a lot of securement. You know, if you got barrels of stuff, you can't have that stuff moving. And you know, my forte was fireworks and empty totes that still had to be placarded. And totes were awesome because they were light. And so the agents that had a lot of those would seek me out. And that's kind of how you succeed, or do better, is you're not on that low board all the time, is you got agents seeking you out. Same thing with spot market. You know, there were times when I would barely look at a low board, simply because the brokers and agents that I was working with would keep me busy. Snorelord's critic voice is awesome. Problem is, do you want to get rookies on your channel? If so, your hashtag could collect them fast. That's true. I should put hashtag ego on this video. Thank you. I have to get ready and leave the house and pick up my load just 20 miles away. Truck for Life, good luck to you. And I'm sorry that you lost your load, but that's kind of par for the course in general. So you know, it happens. Dutch says Hazmat sucks, go around built up areas, do not use tunnels, and on and on. It depends. I mean, Dutch, we used to haul batteries out of Pennsylvania all the time, and the first time I didn't read I thought I couldn't go through the tunnels on 76 there with batteries, but then it was bulk corrosive that I couldn't take. So if I was a tanker, I couldn't take that. But batteries I could. So once I learned that, I was fine. Fireworks, I never pulled fireworks into or out of Pennsylvania. So it depends on the placards as well. But like cities like, well, Atlanta, you always got to go around, but there are cities that you had to go around because of hazmat, like Indy and Dallas and Houston. You know, you have to go around, which sometimes that's a better option anyways. The only thing I didn't like about hauling hazmat was, you know, it puts a target on your back. So if DOT is targeting placarded trucks, you know, you're just like, hey, look at me, pull me over. And that happened a couple of times. So you really got to have your truck in top shape when you haul hazmat. I mean, you should always have it in top shape anyways, but you know, it's even more so with hazmat. And then railroad tracks, which a lot of people struggle with stopping at railroad tracks, but it was ingrained in me because I drove a school bus for 2 years. So it's you know, I find myself almost wanting to stop at them to this day. I think there might have been one time that I got close to running a railroad track. So it's an easy mistake to make. And I hated that when I was on like a highway like 400 in Kansas. You know, now they got a lot of those pullover spots for the railroad tracks, you know, where, so, you know, you're not disrupting traffic. But I can't tell you how many times I almost got rear-ended because I had to stop at railroad tracks. You know, hey, I'm going to take this tanker full of gasoline and stop in the middle of the highway. And so a lot of the high speed, you know, where there's railroad tracks become exempt, and you don't have to worry about those, which is kind of nice. But I don't have to worry about that anymore. Oh, and the other aspect of hazmat I didn't like is renewing it. You know, you had to do your background check, and you had to, you know, do the tests. You know, which is fine because, you know, regulations change, you know, whatever. But doing the background check, you know, it was just a pain in the butt. But if I go for a background check for tools, it's instantaneous. So when it comes back. So anyways, guys, that's it. That's all I got to say for today. Don't let your ego kill your business. Don't let your ego kill your happiness. Don't let your ego affect your life. Kill it. Smash it. Get it out of there. Create some humility. Recognize your weaknesses. Then you can start working on them. Peace.